today I'm going to show how to put a deck belt on a John Deere 48-inch model E140. This also applies to the earlier LA and D series. It's the same deck design and everything. Without further ado, I'm going to get all the stuff that I need and take the deck off. My employee is off today, so I'm here at the shop all by myself. It is almost 100 degrees today, and just for the purpose of this video, I am not in front of the two fans that I have blowing on me. I'm in the corner of my shop, right outside the side entrance where it is extremely hot. Anyways, as soon as I get the stuff off the UPS truck, we'll get on this. Okay, so what we're going to do is take the deck off, but before we do that, here's the part number for this particular mower, as well as the LA and D series. This one came from Rotary. Alright, so without further ado, how do you take the deck off? It's pretty straightforward. You pull these pins out, and most of the time they come out by hand. These are really thin pins. I tend to use a giant screwdriver just because it makes life a little bit easier. I can get in here and, you know, twist them out and stuff. Kind of hit them like this. Stick a screwdriver in here and pry them out and all that fun stuff. But sometimes you can just reach up here by hand and wiggle them out. And be cautious of hitting your hand on bolt heads and stuff. And then these center links usually just come down. This one here, you got a spacer washer there, and then this just pops off. And you got a clip in the front. This is one of John Deere's funky pins, as I call it. Where you at, camera? Right there. I don't have a camera person yet. I usually just bend it out a little bit like that with a screwdriver and pull it out. Here's what it looks like. It's a weird looking pin. It's really thin too. I can put it back together with my hands. So now we're going to go to the other side and repeat the steps. So we got this pin here. Alright, got it out. Take this out. This side might have to be lifted. I'll pull the front out. Then we're going to get this little pin up here. Sometimes it takes. There we go. And that bar should come right off. It will. And then this bar here, I got to lift up on the deck to get this off, pick up on it. And then if your belt was already on here, you take it off the clutch and everything. And then these little hanger brackets, it's easier if you just twist them around and take them off. You just twist it out and get this belt on and move on to the next one because it is really hot out here. So to slide the deck out, I usually just grab it right up here. I like to take these things out because it just makes things easier. Can't forget my big pry bar screwdriver. I'll just pull the deck out. You don't need to pull it all the way out. I do have to put blades on here, but that's a different video. But if your belt is still currently on here, pay attention to how it is routed before you take the old one off. This one is completely shredded. That's why there's a brand new one laying over there. What causes belts to shred like this? In most cases, it is sticks, or you may have a bad pulley, or something else. This mower is fairly new, a couple years old, so I don't see why the pulleys would go out. This one's got a little bit of play in it, but nothing major. To check your pulley bearing, you can kind of see it move when I pick up on it. So ultimately I would replace this pulley. And you also have to check your grooves on your pulleys for excessive wear, or like if something locked up, you would see belt material, or I should say burn belt material on the pulley. So what we're going to do is get the tools to take all this off, and the camera's going to go on. Okay, so the camera angle is good. That's about the best I can do. So the tools that you'll need are a 15mm deep well socket and a ratchet, or if you have an impact driver with the corresponding socket, and a 10mm impact or standard socket. Like I said, if you have an impact driver, it's best because it's a lot quicker, but not everybody has tools such as an impact driver. But just to speed things up, I'm going to use an impact driver and maybe show how to break everything loose with a ratchet, because sometimes these nuts on top of the pulley are very tight. So we're going to first start off by removing the guard right here. You got a guard here and a guard there. And this has a auto stop feature on it. I have it enabled so I don't ring off bolts and whatnot. Alright, that one off. And get the next one off, which is right over here. Oops. Alright. Do the same on this side. Bolt there, bolt here. And one. Oh, alright, so this one's only got 2 bolts on the opposite side. So go ahead and pull them. Take them off, put them there. And now I'm going to use a ratchet to break off these bolts here. Not literally break them off, but break them loose. This one was not very tight. If you have it, a long-handled ratchet like this works best. If you don't, that is quite okay. Now don't take the nuts all the way loose, because sometimes these pulleys get stuck on here. That one's not, and you have to hit this with a hammer to break it loose. Now this pulley here, it's supposed to be bent. Alright, it's supposed to be running down an angle like this. I don't know why John Deere does it, and this one was not loose, or this one wasn't tight, mind you. That's good. I'm going to do the next one. Crack it loose. Right. And I also forgot this guard up front right here. You got 2 10mm, one down here and one down there. Like I said, I do apologize for the bad camera angles. It's the best I could do. So we're going to go ahead and take this off here. Take this. Just loosen this one here. You don't need to take it all the way out. Take that one all the way out. And then this one should pivot forward while the whole thing came out. So now all these pulleys up, see, that one there is kind of stuck. So let me grab a hammer or something to put it in. So I don't feel like walking all the way across the shop, because I'm at one end of the building and this is like a really long building. So I just grabbed a tool from my tire changer, which was good enough to get this off. Alright, so just give it a couple taps and the pulley will slide up. And like I said, you don't need to take it all the way off. Then your old belt comes off, just like this. Slide the pulley up, take it out. Slide the pulley up, take it out, take it off, and rubber belts you can just dispose of like everything else. We're going to get our new belt. Again, I will show you the part number, and yes, this is something a homeowner can do if you have mechanical experience and mechanical knowledge. I have probably 20 years experience, so I've done this many a times over the years. I started doing this when I was probably 3 years old. I'm now 25, so you all can do the math. And I bought this building that I am sitting in last year. But it's just a little bit of history. So this is the part number again. And prices will vary. You're going to pay more for a quality product. Rotary, I've bought stuff from for probably 15 years and never had a problem. Never had a problem with their products. They are certified OEM. I would stay away from anything that you see on the internet that is not name brand, because John Deere don't use a 1/2-inch belt. This is actually what they call 17/30 seconds. It's 1 fraction thicker than a half, to put it that way. It's too hot out here for me to do all the math and stuff on it, but it's not a 1/2-inch V-belt. It's 17/30 seconds. Alright, so to put the belt on, you're going to lay it out on the deck just like this. I do have to keep an eye out for customers. That's why I'm in the back corner of the shop, so no one sees me making videos. Alright, so we're going to put the belt down across the back like this. Now, on a lawn tractor, front engine rider, the back side of the deck, the belt's always going to go straight across, no matter what. Always straight across. Then you're going to you're going to start from left to right. You're going to take this V part right here, and before I go any farther, I should explain the difference between a flat and a V idler pulley. So we're going to do that. This is a flat idler. You see it's flat on the inside. Okay? This is a V pulley. You can see it's got a groove on it, or actually I'll just zoom in to that spindle pulley over there. See how it's kind of got a groove in it? That's a V pulley. Alright? So if you look at your belt, you got the outside where the writing is on it. This is where your part number will be. Then you got an inside part that's kind of got a V to it. Let me unfold this here and I'll show you better. So this is your flat side, and then if you look at it on the inside, you got a V part right here. So your flats always go to outside and your V's always go inside the pulley like this. So back to the video, we're going to take from left to right, and it's going to go out like this on this pulley. And what I like to do as I go putting the belt on, I like to tighten everything down. That way nothing's loose and nothing's forgotten. Normally I use an impact, but I'm not doing that in this video because most homeowners will not have a $300 impact like I have laying around. Alright, so we're going to tighten this down here. You don't need to get it super tight, just snug it up. These are lock nuts. They got a little nylon insert in them that keep it from backing off, so you don't have to use Loctite. So next what we're going to do is go over to our right hand side. See here if I can just zoom in and show you all this here. We're going to take a pulley and just wrap it around here like this, and we're going to come back here to this idler pulley. We're going to pull up on it if we can, just enough to get that belt under there. Sometimes you can pull and it'll go through. Just be careful not to slip like I almost did and hit your hand or something. Alright, now this is the part where people get confused, the center spindle. And we're tightening down this pulley right here. Yes, I am left-handed, so sorry if my hand's in the way of the camera. And we're just going to give it a little turn. You don't need to get it super tight. And like I said, this is a 15 millimeter that I'm using. Everything on the John Deere is metric. So on the center spindle, you're going to wrap a pulley around like this. Alright, you're going to just wrap it around like that. And then we come to this crooked pulley right here. And you're going to put it around this dude right here. You're going to lift up, slide it in, push it back down, and your belt is on. You're going to tighten this up. And this is also a good time to check your tensioner and make sure your spring is not weak. You just pull back on this. And that one's working as it should. And what you see me just do is what you'll have to do when you go to put the belt back on. You're supposed to take a long ratchet, or a ratchet in general, or a wrench on a 15 millimeter and crank back on this to relieve the tension on the belt to take it on and off from the electric clutch. But that spring is so weak, like I can push this with my hand. Let's see here. Yeah, see there? That I just roll the belt around the pulley. So what we're going to do is, since I do everything from the left-hand side on the John Deere, that is because you have to put the belt on the side that the tensioner arm pivots on. So when you roll this belt on, you're going to be basically move right here, so you can't put it on from the right hand side or the discharge side, because the belt wouldn't roll around because this pulley can't go backwards. So if you roll it on from around here, what's going to happen is when you're rolling it on, this belt's going to move this pulley out, and when it's all the way around the clutch, it's going to stop and put the right amount of tension on the belt. So now what we're going to do is take our... Alright, so what we're going to do is I just laid the spindle cover over on this side here. We're going to put the belt keeper arm back around the center spindle. You don't want to forget this. So we're going to put it on just like this. You may need to move a pine cone and some junk out of the way. My shop's a mess right now, so it really doesn't matter. Alright, and we're going to take 2 of these little 10mm headed bolts, and the guide fits under the spring, as you can see right here, kind of see. It's hard for me to make videos, and today just happened to be a slow day. I don't have many customers. It's because I'm waiting on a bunch of parts, and my employee took today off to move furniture. But whenever I have time, I'll make a video like this. Alright? You don't have to hit these all day. I'm using impact just to speed up things, so this video is not extremely long. And the other 2 10mm they're going to go over on this side here. You got one that goes here, and one that kind of goes by the discharge tube. One thing on a John Deere, you have to have your spindle covers on, because see these little push-ins right here, as I call them, that holds your belt against this spindle pulley. These little tabs right here press against the belt, and it holds it in like this. I'm going to cut the camera off because hooking the deck up is opposite of taking it off. You just put them little arms in, and it basically aligns itself. So we're going to do this, and then as I take this outside, I'm going to blow all this junk off. That's another thing what tears up belts. Now belts, eventually they'll just fall apart. I mean, it's a rubber belt going at high speed, and pulleys will wear out. It's basically a flexible material on a non-flexible material, and rubber on metal, it will eventually wear out. Belts stretch over time, they fray, they pop, they break. No belt will last forever. If anybody tells you you never have to change a belt on a riding mower or anything, they're wrong. Belts generally last 2 to 5 years. And the build date on this particular mower was 3/8 of 2019, so 2 years that belt lasted before it just shredded itself. And they will do that. Belts will shred. Now another thing that I want to point out on these John Deeres is you only have one tensioner idler, and it's this crooked pulley right here, the one that's at an angle. This is static, meaning it does not move. This is static, meaning it does not move. Static idler, tensioner idler, spindle pulley, spindle pulley, spindle pulley. V, 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 flat, flat, flat. You got 3 V pulleys and 3 flat pulleys, and this is exactly how the belt's supposed to look.